reports to Congress every year and gives them data about the types of disabilities that were filed, how many won and how many were lost, and a bunch of other data. I got this information from that report to Congress. So this is the data. That's where I got this from. That's why I know the top 3 easiest things to claim for VA disability, because I went through the list and I just took the top 3 right off the top. I will also say that I have won all 3 of these claims. So I can tell you that they're 3 of the easiest claims to win because I have firsthand knowledge of how easy they are to win. Normal VA claim rules apply here. You need a current diagnosis. You need to have current symptoms. You need an explanation why your current disability was caused or made worse by your active duty service. This is known as the nexus. And then finally, you're going to need to document the severity of your symptoms. In all cases, you're going to need a medical doctor involved because you are qualified to explain things on a personal statement or get a buddy to fill out a buddy letter for you. But that is you speaking as a layman. You're going to need a medical doctor to provide the diagnosis and talk about your symptoms and how he thinks they were related to your active duty service on an at least as likely as not basis. And then he's going to be the one that's going to be able to document the severity of your symptoms. The number 1 easiest VA disability claim to win is tinnitus. It can only have 1 VA rating. It's 10% or nothing. There's nothing lower or higher. And that's all there is. You either have it or you don't. This is called subjective tinnitus. It is a ringing or a buzzing or something going on in your head that only you hear. For me, it's like a ringing. Maybe I can't even put words, when they're like, hey, is it a ringing or a buzzing or a roaring? I guess ringing would be the best way for me to explain it. Maybe like a hissing or a humming for you. Whatever it is, it's subjective, meaning you report it and only you can hear it. So it's different for everybody. And then it also drives you crazy in different ways. It is the number 1 VA disability claim to win. And this is reflected in the data that the Veterans Benefits Administration reports to Congress. That's where I got this from. I did not win my tinnitus claim out of the gate because I did not prove it. But I don't think that I was consistent about my current symptoms. It took me a while to realize what was going on. This might happen to you as well. You have this ringing and you just don't know what's going on. And this is the way it is with a lot of mental health problems. So cool, turn the fan on, turn the TV on, sound machine, stay in loud places, and then your brain will focus on other noises instead of the ringing. So I think that I was not consistent with my symptoms. I definitely wasn't consistent with reporting my tinnitus to a doctor. And then I don't know if I explained the nexus. This is something that you can do on your own in a tinnitus claim. In my case, I was on flight lines a lot and I was a cop, and cops are well known to walk perimeters and guard planes and stuff like that. And it seems like everybody else gets hearing protection except for cops. So it took me 2 tries. And then I was able to prove it. So this isn't something where you're just going to roll into the VA, lay down on the couch and say, hey, yo, give me my tinnitus claim. It's not really that hard, but it's definitely not going to be that easy. The number 2 easiest thing to claim for VA disability is musculoskeletal conditions. These are things that are like strains, sprains, joints, painful motion, limitation of flexion. So this can be like in your hands, your elbows, your arms, your shoulders, your back, your neck, your hips, your legs, your knees, your feet, any of those kinds of places. Those are called musculoskeletal conditions. The second easiest thing to claim for a VA disability. Again, going back to my own situation, I busted my foot while I was on active duty. So that is a musculoskeletal condition. I ended up with a 10% rating. It's the easiest thing to claim, not necessarily the highest thing that pays out, but we're not talking about the highest paying claims and the high value claims here. We're talking about what's easy. So musculoskeletal disabilities are easy to win, and they all come down to limitation of range of motion. This is called flexion, and pain on motion. So if you go, you're probably going to go into a CNP exam, and on one of these, that's called it's called orthopedic CNP exam, because he's going to go and he has to put hands on you or hands close to you, and what he's supposed to be doing is using a goniometer. It's a little protractor thing, and this is all based on limitation of range of motion. So he's going to put the thing out here and, okay, the range of motion is only 5 degrees or 10 or 30. And that is going to reflect what your rating is ultimately going to be. But I'll tell you right now that it's very common to end up with 0, 10, or 20% for musculoskeletal conditions. Again, same rules apply. A diagnosis of a knee condition, current symptoms of a knee condition. You're going to need a nexus that explains on an at least as likely as not basis that your current knee condition is a result of your active duty service. And then you're going to need a severity of symptoms. And you should do this from your own doctor. So when you get to your CNP exam, he's got some data from a peer, like another orthopedic doctor. So that is the second easiest thing to claim for VA disability. And again, I got a 10% rating for my foot. It was a lowball rating. I learned more about this, and as I got older, more things popped up. Plantar fasciitis, flat feet, more pain, and it really came down to the severity of the symptoms. They had me at 10% in one foot, and basically it was considered mild. When I redid the claim, or I filed a new claim for it, I got my right foot connected to my left foot, and then I think I have 20 in my left and 30 in my right. So I got 50% overall. So this is something you can clean up later. It's a lot easier to apply for an increase than to file a new claim for service connection, but you can do both. And I'm kind of going off on a tangent here. So let's move on to the next one. The number 3 easiest thing to claim for VA disability are mental health conditions. Again, this is according to the report that the Veterans Benefits Administration sends to Congress every year. It lists out all the conditions and what was won, what was lost. Mental health conditions are things like PTSD, major depressive disorder, generalized anxiety disorder, somatic symptom disorder, among other things. Mental health is also considered a more valuable VA claim because it pays out at a higher rate. Like the average rating that veterans get in the same report is 70%. So if we're going back to my other two, 10% for tinnitus, that's the easiest, but you can't increase it. It's just 10. My foot, I started off with 10% for my foot. That's the second easiest thing to claim. I did ultimately get that up to 50%, but out of the gate it was 10. And then for my mental health conditions, I have all these things lumped into one mental health claim, and I have a 70% rating for that. So it's definitely a more valuable VA claim. All VA mental health claims fall into one of 3 categories. The first one is PTSD combat. The second one is PTSD non-combat, which are things like military sexual trauma, car accidents, stuff like that. And then there's the third one is all other mental health conditions. So the main difference between PTSD, whether it's combat or non-combat, is that it has an in-service stressor. There was an event at a date and a time where you're, had exposure to death, witnessed death, threatened death, feared for your life, actual serious injury, threatened serious injury, witnessed serious injury. So it's called a stressor. So that's the main thing between a PTSD claim and then the all other mental health conditions. Here's how my mental health claim journey went. Didn't realize I had mental health problems for a very long time. Finally went to a private psychiatrist, and then he started prescribing me medications for depression and anxiety. And then I actually learned more about the VA, and I got a VSO and, went that normal route. And he suggested that I file a mental health claim. I don't know exactly what conditions I filed for. I can't remember. But he said, hey, you should take your 8 years of prescription notes and stuff like that and submit it. Again, that's another mistake, that you don't want to send them 8 years worth of shit. They don't need to see all that. Just send them the last year or two at max. But I did end up going to a CNP exam. She asked me a bunch of questions about mental health, and I didn't know what she was doing at the time. I do now. She was trying to get at, how much my mental health problems affect my work and my social life so she could give me the proper mental health rating. I was still kind of bummed that I filed for PTSD, but I didn't get PTSD. But I got that last year, and really all that I was missing was an actual diagnosis for PTSD. I'm a combat veteran. I filed it as combat PTSD. I had my stressor, I had my buddy letter, I had my personal statement, but without an actual diagnosis, they didn't give it to me. I went and got a diagnosis from a private doctor, which needs to be a board-certified psychologist or a board-certified psychiatrist. And that's what you're going to need to get if you want to make any of these mental health claims stick. I wouldn't just file it with no diagnosis and just try to do this all in a buddy letter or something. I would go see a private doctor.